There we go. All right, guys, what's up? I'm here with AJ. We are here to do a quick recap of the Pittsburgh Pro guest posing. This was a very highly anticipated guest posing. It's one of the big events of the year. You know, we know historically this was something that really changed the trajectory for someone like Derek Lunsford heading into the Open. Very exciting. Give me your initial thoughts, AJ. What did you see there?
I love the Pittsburgh guest posting because the tradition, with Phil and Kai and all those guys. And now, just one quick question: how did you like to bringing in the classic guys into what we've usually just been? I was a little bit, I didn't like it in the beginning, but what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting in the sense that one with Urs in that there has been a lot of talk of him going to the Open stuff. So to see him actually stand on stage with some of the Open guys, I think for some of the fans was cool. I also do agree with the sentiment that Urs and Ramon are two of the most popular figures in the entire industry. So just to get more eyes on the live stream, more tickets sold, I think it's fine. Obviously, when we recap this event, we're recapping the Open guys. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what we really care about. These guys looked awesome. Urs was great. Ramon looked good. But this is really to kind of recap what we saw in terms of the men's Open guy, and I think what that's going to kind of do in terms of predictions and trajectory going into New York or into the Olympia or shows forward from that. So
Yeah. For me, I really liked it. I stayed up at night. It's like a tradition to watch this, and for me, I was really excited to see Martin versus Nick Walker because they
yeah,
were 1 week out to the New York Pro. We
yeah,
kind of knew how Martin would look because we saw him at Detroit. What were your reaction with Nick Walker and Martin?
yeah. No, I think here I'll pull up the videos here for them.
Yeah,
So first we got Martin here. Martin was very impressive. I mean, there's
yeah.
no doubt about that at all. I think he impressed everybody in Detroit with a stellar showing there, and I think he brought it here again. His conditioning looks great for a week out. Good fullness. He does look a little bit improved to me from Detroit, so I thought it was a really great showing. And for a guy like Martin, who's never even won a pro show, to be, standing with the top five at the Olympia, Olympia champion. He was staying right next to Derek. Derek was right in the middle. He was right next to him, holding his own. It wasn't like, oh my God, this guy's not even close to these guys. Like he looked fantastic. You can see here, as we've kind of talked about with Martin, he's just very complete. Like every shot, head to toe, he's not really missing anything. You could make the case of, okay, overall, maybe a little more size, but in terms of the detail, the roundness, the conditioning, the overall, completeness to the muscularity, I think he looks awesome.
It's really, for me, it was really good to see him at Pittsburgh because we remember the last 2 years he's been kind of treated a little bit unfairly on social media. People were like, he had his little bit lower points, but people to be here at the Pittsburgh and really stand out, it was really. I respect Martin a lot for what he's done the last 2 years, and now especially he's known for his conditioning now.
It is a little bit different in terms of how you're going to look. So I'm not going to quite look at them through the exact same lens. I think Nick is doing his first show. Martin's been lean for quite a few weeks now. So it's a little different. But yeah, if you're just stacking it up condition to condition, I mean, I think Martin was definitely in the superior condition of the two. We'll pull up Nick here so we can see in comparison.
With Nick Walker, tremendous size. I don't see any problems with his legs based off what we've seen before. I don't see any effect of any type of injury. I
No,
just got to say one thing. You probably know him even better than me, but I don't see any problem. All the comments about his midsection. I don't see his midsection being any bigger than it usually is.
it's tough to say. I mean, he's a week out. So, I had hoped to see it a little better.
Okay.
I was hoping to see it a little more under control. In some of the transitions, it didn't look as good as you would hope being a week out. But I also know that, when you're coming from probably pushing the diet at a week out, and then you have a guest posing event, you're probably going to push the food a little bit just to be a little fuller for that event. And I don't expect him to have any issues come stage time. I don't think his midsection is a significant problem to him. Like as we're watching now, I think, the only thing I think is that when his midsection is a little more distended at times, it does take away from his leg size, because he's so big up top. And then when the midsection is not quite as drawn in as it can be when he's, in full condition on stage, I think it makes a little more to be desired within the leg department. But I mean, his overall muscularity is obviously just exceptional. His conditioning looks in a good spot. Week out, I think that the last Nick never misses. I know him and Matt will nail the nail on the head, come New York Pro next week. But yeah, no, I will admit it left a little to be desired in terms of what I hoped to see after a bit of a layoff. But I still think he looked awesome. Like you can see here, the back shots and the development is exceptional. The side chest, the most muscular. But I think Martin, definitely in some of the front shots, front double, front lat, can absolutely hold his own with someone like Nick.
New York Pro, if you can go back to the full lineup, maybe so guys can see the full lineup while we are just the full lineup, yeah. But New York Pro, do you see any chance? As you see there we can see very clearly Martin versus Nick.
Yeah,
Martin is more aesthetic, but he is 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds less, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he's probably 25, 20 pounds less. I would predict Martin's probably somewhere in the 240 range, where Nick's probably north of 260. So yeah, there is definitely a difference in, muscularity. But like if we go ahead and pose it on the front lat there, I mean, like, this is obviously one of Nick's weaker shots, but I mean, Martin can definitely hold his own in a shot like the front lat. I think he holds his own well in this lineup. I think he's got a lot of great tools for sure. Do I think come New York Pro, do I think he's capable of beating Nick yet? No, I don't. I think Nick is still.
You don't think it's possible at this show?
Look, I don't think it's impossible, but I don't think it's probable. I think that Nick is still probably the front runner. And honestly, after seeing him stand next to guys like Samson and Andrew here, I'm excited to see him next to Quinton as well. Quinton with one of those kind of taller, very, very aesthetic physiques, and will be kind of closer into the weight. Obviously he's taller, so he's not quite as heavily muscled, but his weight, will be similar to Nick's. So to see them, especially with Quinton after the layoff, and to see where he's at now, next to someone like Nick, I think will be very interesting.
As you see here, what's very impressive with Nick, and I'll be focusing a lot on Nick and Lunsford, and I gotta say, in the side shots, Iain, Nick versus Lunsford, because, by the way, how impressed are you with Lunsford's conditioning in the middle of nowhere land for him when it comes to off-season?
Yeah,
this is a Mr. Olympia that's hungry, correct?
I know, yeah. No, Derek is always super impressive in the off-season. I mean, he maintains a really respectable level of conditioning. We saw it with the other times he's guest posed here at Pittsburgh and any other events he's done guest posing wise. He always shows up in stellar conditioning. So, but like this, I think Nick from the side poses is extremely good. Density through the legs, through the arms, shoulders, chest is really, really good. Obviously something like a side chest, I think for Derek is going to be opposed that obviously with the detail that when you get leaner and leaner would improve a lot. But Nick, yeah, definitely in this lineup here, he's definitely one of the best in that pose for sure. Yeah.
But the thing that Lunsford would need to bring up for the Olympia, obviously the abs and the chest. Is Derek's chest improved?
It looks a little more improved. There's a little more density there, I think. I think there's still more that needs to come. I think it's still a work in progress. I wouldn't say it's perfect now and he needs to not worry about it anymore. I think there's still, some muscularity that needs to be added there. And you can see it obviously, when he's hitting a pose like a side chest next to Nick or even to Martin, that have a little more projection, roundness to their chests. But I mean, you see here on the back shot or on the front shot, I mean, the lats are just absolutely ridiculous. And he's like another 6 inches wider than basically everybody up on that stage, right?
It's that one back. Oh, Nick Walker's brought up his back, I can tell. But I also see Martin Fitzwater's conditioning next to
Yeah.
Walker in that back double. Who's got the best condition there? It looks like a Martin, doesn't it?
Yeah, overall conditioning, I'd say Martin. Martin's got a really nice amount of detail in his back. Glutes and hams are stripped out. I think Nick's still got a little bit, whether it's flatness or just like a tiny bit of water, something to come off the glutes and hamstrings still. But I think he's still in a great spot for a week out here. But yeah, no, Martin's conditioning obviously shines here. But I mean, you got to, like you said before, though, Derek, I mean, just as being in the middle of his off season here, he doesn't look like he's like fat compared to Nick or Martin by any means, which is crazy because these guys are a week out and he's just in the middle of his off season.
It's very good to see. We remember Mr. Rest in peace to Sean Roldan, but remember when he was it Mr. Olympia when he
yeah
when he did the guest posting, he wasn't a Mr. Olympia. It was right before Mr. Olympia.
It was before that Olympia, yeah.
But Lunsford showing up knowing that Walker is the guy he has to face at the Olympia. To look at that back lat spread on Lunsford when Walker is 1 week out. It's very impressive.
Very impressive. Yeah. Someone who also impressed me a lot too, I'm not sure if you thought the same, was Andrew Jack. I mean, in terms of the first impression, when Andrew came out, I was like,
can we go to his individual, Andrew Jack?
Yeah, we'll get that one. When he first came out, I couldn't even believe how big he looked. He's just absolutely massive. Obviously, he's not as lean as some of the other guys. Where is he here?
Let me see if we can see him. I think there he is.
He's not as lean as say a Derek.
But it doesn't matter, Iain. The tremendous, the width, the freshness, tall, crazy abs, huh?
Yeah, density. The waist is still in great control. You can definitely tell even on the arms, he's packed on some muscle. So really excited to see him. He's competing later this year, right? He's doing one of the shows in the Middle East or Europe or something.
So I have him. You can go to who you have as the. I think I have him as the co-winner, like with him and Derek. One of the two most impressive for me. With Andrew, I didn't expect him to look that good.
Yeah.
He is not doing. Sadly, Iain, he's not doing the Dubai Pro.
Okay. Do we know what he is doing?
Even though it's $100,000 and it's in his home.
Yeah. Do you know what show he is playing to do?
So he told me in person, and not in person on DM, he said, I will be doing the Texas Pro and I will defend my title.
Okay, so going to defend his title in Texas. Great. Cool. Yeah, no, he was definitely, I agree with you in that him and Derek were probably the two. Obviously Martin was very impressive. But we've already seen him this year.
We've already seen him.
So that shock factor was like we got that kind of out in Detroit. Andrew we hadn't seen yet this year, or Derek, so they were obviously a little more wowing. I have to say as well, to me, where is he here? Was Hunter was very impressive, and I saw Hunter.
Have you seen the quads?
I saw Hunter in Detroit, and I'll tell people like he looks big in these videos, but I know how big he is in person, and that makes it even crazier when you watch this. He is gigantic right now.
Oh, wow.
The improvements are very dramatic. I think in that lineup, he was one of the most muscular guys up there for sure. Obviously I don't think he has, some of the tools in terms of aesthetics that someone like, Andrew has or whatever. I think there's still a little bit more. Oh, what's going on here?
Why are they trolling him so much with this hat, Iain? What's the why can't he just have the hat on? What's the problem?
I know. I think he's made a joke out of it now. Everyone says something. Okay. He's got to keep wearing it now, but I mean, it's a guest posing. Like, who cares? If you want to wear a hat or you want to wear trunks or not trunks. I mean, I don't think it matters too much. But
very impressive. The legs are just. Is that one of the best quads in the game right now, Iain?
Definitely. I mean, and the arms are just humongous. Like that front lat there is just absolutely crazy. And I think when we go back to the where was that other video of the whole lineup? When you look at him in this lineup here, I mean, you can really see, like, even standing next to Samson here, he is absolutely holding his own in these shots, like he's level of muscularity he has here, in this front lat. If you really compare him to, Nick or Derek or Martin down the line, I mean, Hunter looks huge,
But to be the thing, I'm a little bit like not worried, but the rumors are that he's doing Italy Pro. I don't know if you heard it.
I have, yeah.
That's in 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Have you seen Nathan Diasha at the moment, Iain?
Yeah, Nathan looks very impressive. I was actually just showing Melissa his pictures, yeah, yesterday or
Ooh.
2 days ago, and saying how impressive he looked.
Do you have any? Nathan is looking also stage ready at 2-7. Maybe you can, if you can look at Nathan quickly in his Instagram. And for people at home, Iain has just learned to share his screen. It's impressive, Iain, because I have no idea how to do it.
I just learned this today. Okay.
If you look at Iain, I mean, Nathan.
Is this the video? Just let me make sure I got the right one here. I'll find the ones.
Because Nathan Diasha, for people, he's 270 pounds.
Who put the picture? It was boss of his coach posted the photos, right?
Yeah, Boss Outlaw there. And he's 270 pounds. Legs are up. He's the current Italy champion. So he has a little bit of an advantage there. And he cannot. Let's see. There you go. Crazy. It's incredible right now, Iain, isn't it?
Crazy. Yeah.
Look at that physique. Look at that.
Definitely some very significant improvements there. This is the best I've seen Nathan in a long, long time, for sure, if not ever. I mean, the overall, muscularity, Nathan's always been very beautifully shaped, but, when you put him next to some bigger guys, sometimes his overall mass can be a little exposed.
Yeah.
And here it definitely looks like he's taking care of that issue. Stefan seems to be the hot guy right now with coaching, and he's definitely proving that with, these guys he's pumping out and how awesome they all look, right?
Going up a guy against Hunter, who is bigger, but not always the same condition, maybe as a Nathan. What would be your game plan if you were Nathan and you're going up against Hunter, who's a legit top 6, top 7 Olympian? Would you try to come in with the size, or you just try to take him on condition and shape?
Yeah, I think you need to. I think Nathan, one of Nathan's greatest tools is that kind of really explosive fullness he can have. The upper shelf, like the chest, the delts, the arms, just are so bubbly and kind of bursting off. He's got that really high chest and those really high lats, kind of really bubbly look. So I think, the conditioning has to be, right up there with Hunter's. He's got to be in excellent condition. But you're not going to be bigger than Hunter. So I don't think you should try and beat him at that game. I think you should let your conditioning and your shape shine. And then the tools that you have in terms of your just really, nice, round, bubbly, full muscle, and really put that fullness on display. I don't think he needs to sacrifice any conditioning to try and be really big to try and stand next to Hunter. I think just get the conditioning good, get a good peak, be nice and full. And I think that's all he needs to worry about. And, I think that definitely makes him have the best chance he can against someone that's, obviously a top guy like Hunter, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say who would you think would win, because this is based on the track record, it would be Hunter, but Hunter's not used to traveling outside of America.
Yeah.
He's not used to this. And Nathan is the champion of Italy, and Nathan, he can't go to America. Well, we don't know. We know exactly what the
he hasn't been to America in a while, so yeah.
I think this is his Olympia. This and Dubai for Nathan.
Yeah.
It's big shows for him.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So, I think the last few years when he's done these shows in Europe, I don't think he, if I recall, got to stand next to someone quite the caliber of Hunter at that Olympia level. He's competed with some guys like Regan and some guys that are top 10, but not someone that's quite the caliber of Hunter. So to see Nathan stand next to a guy, that's been a perennial kind of top 7, top 6 guy, and been as high as 4th one year, will be a really good test to Nathan. Like you said, I think this is kind of like his Olympia, So obviously I hope he can solve whatever issues he has or has had to get, into the US. And if he can win a show this year and get qualified, he would be obviously a huge addition to that Olympia lineup for sure.
Can we take a look at Samson?
Yeah.
Samson. So he just, let me see. How do you probably haven't spoken to him, but let me hear, what do you think has been done, going on lately with Kuwait and all this? What's your opinion on what's happening? Let's see, because it's not so easy for people to know exactly what's going on. What's your impression of what's going on?
Yeah, no, I think for him to get a change of venue, to go out to Kuwait, if he thinks that's going to be something that's going to be good for him, I think that's a great idea. I have no issues with that at all. I think you can tell right now, obviously with Samson, and it's showing here that he's kind of in his downtime. He's probably off the drugs right now and just enjoying his time, to let his body relax a bit between the few shows he did in the winter and the early spring before going into the Olympia. But I mean, he still looks excellent. I mean, maintaining a good level of conditioning, looks really good. And I think he's in a good prime spot here to really pack it on and improve, being in Kuwait, being, super locked in and focused. I don't know what he's doing in terms of actual coaching yet. I don't know if you know. I think maybe right now it's just his wife is helping him. But having those Kuwait guys at least, push him in training, I think will be a great asset for sure.
So one thing that's a little bit very important for the in the YouTube bodybuilding world, there's so many people who just give their opinion based on Instagram and not knowing exactly. Yes, he's not the most impressive, but at the Pittsburgh, what's very important for people to understand, he's completely off.
Yeah.
There's no TRT, there's no
Nothing.
cruising, there's nothing in the system, maybe some growth, but there's no steroids whatsoever in his body. The same like Brandon Curry takes completely off. And as you know, Brandon Curry doesn't do the guest posing anymore. He didn't do it last year. It's probably because Brandon don't want to show up, look completely like Samson is doing, but Samson still looks very good to be completely natural. He's letting his body rest. One thing, did you ever do that? Go completely off?
I used to do it quite a bit actually in my early part of my career. I probably did that right up until 2021. So it was only the last 2 or 3 years of my career where, I would just go on a cruise and then kind of, one cycle into the next, or depending on what my show schedule was. But no, I mean, Samson, I know, like you said, he comes completely off, does a good clean out. And the fact that he's, standing up on stage and holding his own with the other top 5 guys at the Olympia completely off. I mean, I know for myself, when I would come completely off, I certainly wouldn't be getting on the fucking Pittsburgh Pro stage and get posing. I'd be like, I don't want anyone. I don't even go to my local gym in a tank top, let alone Pittsburgh Pro, So, kudos to him. I mean, he went up there, he looked great, held his own with those guys. And it's not like Samson has anything to prove. I mean, he's, banged it out with Hottie some shows this year and looked fantastic. So,
if we can just see the full lineup again.
Yeah. 1 sec. My thing here says I'm going to only get a minute left to record for some reason.
Okay. Then we got to quickly. Samson is going there. Marlena is going to be the coach.
Yeah.
From the UK. She's not going there. And he's going to get a trainer, most likely chemo, and we'll see what happens. But the recording is going out now, Iain.
Yeah, I don't know why it says I got less than a minute and it's going to stop. So unless we want to start and stop again, but we'll wrap it up there, guys. So that's what my opinion. I kind of, like you said, Derek was definitely the standout as we kind of expected. Andrew would be the next after there. And then after that, Hunter, Martin, were kind of the guys that really, look great. I think Nick obviously displayed some great muscularity, but a little bit, I would have liked to see the midsection in a little tighter. And then Sam says we just discussed. So overall, I think that was an awesome guest posing, and very excited to see New York next weekend.
And before we go, Iain, you got to give a shout out to your surgeon because the hair is looking epic.
Got the Turkish hairs growing in nice. So awesome. Thanks, AJ, for tuning in. And thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.